My name is Bob Wheeler. I'm the moderator of this panel. We've just had a very interesting number of thoughts and questions raised by Dr. Shah, and we have an excellent panel that will address some of this, and then I want to open it up to the audience so that the audience has the opportunity to ask questions as well. First, let me introduce my panelists, if I might. Tony Townsend, who is to my far right, is the chair of Public Service, Educational Leadership and Management at the School of Education in the College of Social Sciences at the University of Glasgow. Tony has been the chair since January 2009. Before that, he spent 5 years as a professor and chair at the College of Education at Florida Atlantic University, and more than 20 years as a member of the Faculty of Education at Monash University in Australia. He's been the president of the Australian Association for Community Education and regional director of the International Community Education Association Pacific region. He's had a number of other positions. His research interests, am I going too fast? Now I'm doing the opposite, all right, okay, I'm trying to get through it quickly. His research interests include school effectiveness and improvement, school restructuring with a particular emphasis on public education, leadership in both schools and public sector organizations, student engagement, strategic planning, global education, and community education and development. Mr. Muhammad Ali Nagi is the Director of Human Resources for the Beaconhouse School System. He has been a human resource professional with diverse experience in strategic HR and organizational development, designing performance management systems, and coaching. He started his career as a lawyer, and over the last 14 years has worked as an HR professional in organizations covering the cellular industry, hospitality, and the retail sector. He has extensive experience in professional development and played a key role in establishing one of the first retail training centers in Pakistan. He received his MBA from the Cardiff Business School at the UK, holds a master's degree in political science, a postgraduate diploma in HRM, and a bachelor's of law degree from Punjab University. In addition, he also has a postgraduate diploma in international relations from Quaid Azam University in Islamabad, and I realize I probably butchered that name. And Christine Lynne Blackaby, Tina, is the regional director for Middle East, North Africa of the Beaconhouse School Group. She is recognized as a transformational and an innovative school manager and leader. She specializes in managing change and leading effective schools, area in which she's had considerable success. She has worked extensively in education across all age groups and is passionate about teaching and learning. She has also been an advisor to the UK inspection body, Ofsted. In addition, her international experience includes working in Pakistan, Nigeria, Australia, and Abu Dhabi. She's the author of 2 books, Leading, Teaching, and Learning, and Shaping and Sharing a Pyramid. She has spoken at national and international conferences on managing change and boys' underachievement. I'll just give you briefly, in my previous life, I like to tell people I was a lawyer. The deep, dark secret is I worked on some of the original mortgage-backed bonds back in the 80s. Let's keep that between us. I then went on and I was the director of MBA admissions at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. I was a professor of business communications and director of the MBA program at Penn State, and similarly at University of Texas at Austin, where I was also the chief operating officer of executive education. Far more importantly, I'm currently the dean of the Karachi School for Business and Research, a new school that is being built in Karachi. We've started executive education classes. We're in a strategic collaboration agreement with Cambridge University, so we're bringing Cambridge faculty right here to Karachi, Pakistan. Most importantly, I love living here. I've been here for a year. It's been an incredible experience. People here are just warm and hospitable. And I will say this, and I love Karachi, but Lahore, Lahore. But what I do say, because I have people come in, Karachi's about the people. So is Lahore, of course, but Karachi's about the people. And I have the opportunity I use, and we're about to have, I hope, an active discussion with you and with the panelists, but I use the American card. I'm able to interact with people at all levels. I have the great honor of meeting with CEOs, but I also have Hindu friends who invite me to holidays and so on. So this is a wonderful, wonderful society that I think we have a lot of hope for. So I'm going to start with Tony and ask you just to generally comment as you would on Dr. Shah's discussion.
Thank you. I'd like to start by asking two questions, if that's possible. Question number one, how many people in the room are school leaders? Question number two, why aren't the rest of your hands up? Every one of you in the room is a school leader. And if you're not, we have to change the way in which you think. Okay? I would like to give you my view of what the past, the present and the future of educational leadership is. We've heard this morning about instructional leadership, and I agree that that's the past. I want to give you a couple of characteristics that I see as being relevant to instructional leadership. Firstly, the role of an instructional leader is to lead communities of teachers. It sees teachers as teachers. It's a hierarchical model. And if we're looking at school effectiveness, what we're looking at is how do we develop effective classrooms. I think that's the past. The present, I think, is leadership for learning. And if we look at that, it's now leading communities of learners. It treats teachers as learners. It involves team leadership, so the leader is part of the team of learners, not something separate from them. And what we're looking at this point is effective schools. I want to give you my idea of the future. And I think the idea of the future, and I congratulate Beacon Schools for identifying 2035 as the area that you want to work towards. I think the future is leadership for change. And I think we've heard quite categorically how much has changed, even in the last decade. We have a tendency to think that change is due to technology. But in fact, change in virtually every part of our life has occurred in the last 20 years. If we're looking at leadership for change, we are leading communities of leaders. We're treating teachers as leaders. It is multi-level leadership because we're also treating students as leaders. And we're treating our communities as part of that process. So if we're looking at effectiveness, what we're looking for is effective communities and what that means in its broadest sense. And what we're looking for in a system is an effective school system. So from Beacon Schools' perspective, what we're looking at is for every single school in your system to be effective. In order to do that, we need to make a large majority of your classrooms effective. And in order to do that, we need to have the vast majority of your teachers being effective. And what does that mean? I think what we need to recognise is that teaching is only one role that adults play in schools. If you look at teachers, we heard role-playing this morning. Teachers have many other roles in their lives. Some of them involve leadership. We have a tendency to not think of teachers as leaders in schools, and we need to change that. We also need to recognise, however, that students, being a student is only one role that a child plays. A child plays many other roles as well at different times in their life, including being a leader. So we need to work on how do we move towards this understanding of everybody in our community being a leader of change for education. And if we get some questions, I might tell you how to do that.
Thank you, Tony. Ali, I'll ask you to... Ali, I'll ask you for your comments.
Yes, I have a question, in fact, for Dr. Shah. You commented earlier that we should be absolutely clear in terms of what the expectations should be for educational or academic leaders. From a practical perspective, educational or academic leaders come usually from an academic background. So in terms of innovation in technology related to academics or new teaching methods, they usually quite easily adopt to those. The other role, which is that of a business manager, they also need to perform that role as well. And they have a different set of KPIs for that. The targets are also different. My question would be, is it fair to expect that role from an educationist? Wouldn't that take them away from their primary responsibility, which is to impart or facilitate the learning process?
Thank you. It is a question which I said that the whole debate about what is the role of leadership and can leader sort of carry out these multiple roles. The one thing is that we have to accept the realities of the situation. That's one thing. The second thing is how we can make it work better. Yeah, and it will differ from a context to context. For example, in the UK, now there is this sort of whole category of school business managers coming up, which support academic head teachers. They look after the sort of financial and that sort of aspects. I mean, there can be different models, but that model shouldn't take away the significance of academic leadership, because I strongly believe that the important thing for educational institution is to enable and enhance learning. And that is for students, for teachers, for leaders themselves. They should all keep developing themselves. You see, that is it. And I mean, I go back to religion, but in our religion that says you keep learning till the end of your life. That is our philosophy. So we have to keep learning. The problem is that most of the world talks about those things in Islam like terrorism and things like that, which are nowhere mentioned, and they forget those things which are clearly stated in Islamic philosophy. And I mean, we all need to enhance learning, and that is where the leader's role is very, very significant, the institutional leader's role. But other roles, as I said, the financial, the business role, that cannot be ignored. And that is where we work out different models for our own educational context. Then also we need to decide what is the contribution of educational leaders within policy making also. Because I know from our Pakistani, because I've worked here for a long time, I know that policy is also imposed from top down.